Hello, friends. If you're curious about the movie Arctic Blast, 2010, you're in the perfect place. Don't forget to give this video a quick like, it really helps us out. And if you're new here, hit subscribe to stay updated on all the latest movie deep dives. Let's jump right in. Imagine a world gripped by sudden relentless cold, a frigid silence that seeps through bones and buries cities under sheets of ice. This film plunges us into such a chilling nightmare, where the Earth's atmosphere itself turns hostile, and humanity races against time to survive a catastrophe unlike any other. It's a pulse-pounding journey through frozen landscapes, scientific desperation, and the primal instinct to endure when the world is stripped to its barest, most unforgiving state. Set against the stark, sweeping vistas of the Arctic, the story begins with an ominous warning buried deep within the polar ice. A research team uncovers startling data, an alarming shift in the planet's climate that threatens to plunge the entire globe into a new ice age. What begins as a scientific anomaly quickly escalates into a devastating reality as temperatures plummet, weather patterns spiral out of control, and cities far beyond the Arctic Circle become frozen wastelands overnight. At the heart of the narrative is Dr. Jack Tate, a climatologist whose expertise and determination become humanity's fragile beacon amid the gathering storm. Jack's character is no stranger to high stakes. He's been through scientific skepticism, government bureaucracies, and personal loss. But nothing has prepared him for the urgency of this crisis. As the world turns colder and more hostile, Jack must navigate a maze of political intrigue, scientific uncertainty, and his own haunted past to find a solution that could save millions, or doom them all. Alongside Jack is the fierce and resourceful Mia Collins, a pilot and survival expert whose knowledge of the Arctic terrain becomes indispensable. Mia's backstory is woven with personal resilience, a woman who has battled the elements and the isolation of the far north and emerged tougher. Together, Jack and Mia lead a ragtag team on a perilous mission to reach a remote weather station believed to hold the key to reversing the deadly freeze. The journey is fraught with danger. Frostbite and exhaustion threaten every step. Sudden blizzards carve the landscape into shifting nightmares. But more terrifying than the weather is the creeping sense of despair that grips the group, the understanding that time is slipping away, that every minute lost edges them closer to an irreversible fate. The tension tightens as they encounter unexpected obstacles, equipment failures, hidden agendas, and betrayals that cut as deeply as the icy winds. As the film hurtles forward, viewers are drawn into a world where survival demands ingenuity and sacrifice. Scenes pulse with urgency, the roar of engines battling snowdrifts, the frantic efforts to repair failing communication arrays, the harrowing moments when characters confront their limits in whiteout conditions. The cinematography captures the vast emptiness of the Arctic tundra, the blinding whites, the eerie stillness, the sharp contrasts of ice against sky, making the environment itself a formidable antagonist. But the true thrill lies in the science and suspense interwoven throughout. The narrative delves into the intricacies of climatology and atmospheric phenomena without overwhelming, grounding the drama in plausible science that raises the stakes. The characters' discoveries reveal that this isn't merely a natural disaster but a complex interplay of environmental factors, some possibly accelerated by human interference. These revelations lead to startling twists, unexpected alliances, shocking losses, and a race against a countdown that no one can reset. Among the major twists is the discovery that the new ice age's onset might be triggered by the sudden release of methane trapped beneath the permafrost, a volatile force that could accelerate the freeze beyond any human control. This revelation reshapes the mission's focus and heightens the moral dilemmas facing the team. Should they risk everything to deploy untested technology to halt the freeze, or accept that some forces of nature might be beyond saving? The film's climax converges on a desperate gambit, an attempt to deploy a satellite-based system designed to influence global temperatures, a project mired in controversy and fraught with unknowns. The tension escalates to a breaking point as characters make split-second decisions under extreme conditions, battling both the elements and their own fears. Every choice carries weight, every moment could be the difference between salvation and annihilation. Interspersed with the action are quieter, more intimate moments that deepen the story's emotional impact. Flashbacks reveal Jack's fractured relationship with his estranged daughter, a personal loss that mirrors the larger devastation unfolding. Mia's moments of vulnerability show the human cost of isolation and the strength required to face it. These layers enrich the narrative, making the fight for survival not just a battle against nature but a quest for redemption and connection. Ultimately, the film is a gripping fusion of science fiction, thriller, and human drama. It challenges viewers to contemplate the fragile balance of the planet and the resilience of those willing to confront the unimaginable. It's a story where every breath of frozen air carries the weight of hope and despair, where survival is not guaranteed but earned through courage and sacrifice. So, if you're ready to journey into the heart of a world transformed by ice, to witness a desperate fight against time and elements, and to unravel secrets buried beneath layers of frost and fear, this film offers all that and more. Prepare for a cinematic experience that chills and thrills in equal measure, leaving you breathless and reflective long after the screen fades to white. The world, as it once was, feels distant, a memory fading beneath layers of ice and endless white horizons. The story unfolds not with a roar, but with a whisper carried on a biting wind, a subtle warning hidden in the frozen tundra. It begins at a remote Arctic research station, where a group of scientists monitors subtle changes in the atmosphere, unaware that the quiet signals they're tracking will soon escalate into a global catastrophe. Dr. Jack Tate stands among them, a man whose eyes hold the weight of both hope and unspoken regret. The early scenes sketch a world balanced on the edge of disaster. Satellite readings hint at sudden, inexplicable shifts in temperature and atmospheric pressure. Ice cores reveal accelerated melting in one area while thickening in another, and whispers of a coming freeze ripple through hushed conversations. Jack's expertise is called upon to interpret these signs, but the scientific community is divided. Some see natural fluctuations. Others, like Jack, sense a far more ominous threat. As data accumulates, the chill that has lingered beneath the surface of their world begins to sharpen. Weather systems spiral out of control. Cities thousands of miles away report unseasonal frosts and sudden blizzards. The film's tension coils tighter as news footage intercuts with scenes of rising panic. Farmers watching crops wither overnight, governments scrambling to respond, everyday lives unraveling under the weight of an unseen force. Amid this mounting crisis, Jack finds himself at odds with political leaders who dismiss the severity of the situation. Bureaucratic delays and skepticism hinder efforts to mobilize a coherent response, creating a frustrating backdrop where scientific urgency battles institutional inertia. Jack's struggle is both external and internal. He fights to be heard while grappling with memories of past failures, particularly his estranged relationship with his daughter, which adds a layer of personal stakes to the unfolding disaster. In a parallel thread, Mia Collins emerges, a skilled pilot with intimate knowledge of the Arctic's unforgiving terrain. Her scenes introduce a grounded, pragmatic perspective. Mia's experience navigating the harsh landscape makes her indispensable when conditions worsen. Her connection to the land contrasts with Jack's scientific detachment, bringing balance to the narrative. Their initial encounters are charged with cautious respect, setting the stage for a partnership forged in survival rather than convenience. As the weather deteriorates rapidly, a global emergency is declared. The film's pace accelerates, mirroring the collapse of order. Communication networks falter, supply lines are severed, and cities face unprecedented challenges as freezing temperatures encroach. The team assembles a mission to reach a remote weather station located deep within the Arctic Circle, a site believed to hold critical data that could unlock solutions to halt the advancing freeze. The journey to this outpost is treacherous. The landscape is a shifting maze of ice fields, crevasses, and hidden dangers. The film captures the crushing vastness of the Arctic, where isolation is absolute and every step is a gamble. Early on, the group faces their first major obstacle, a sudden whiteout storm that blinds and disorients, forcing them to rely on trust and instinct. The storm tests their cohesion and resolve, laying bare individual fears and unspoken tensions. Inside the storm, Jack and Mia's dynamic begins to evolve. Moments of vulnerability surface, a flash of frustration here, a word of encouragement there, revealing the fragile humanity beneath their hardened exteriors. The film uses these interactions not only to develop character but to heighten emotional stakes, reminding viewers that survival is as much about connection as endurance. As the storm subsides, the team encounters evidence of previous expeditions, abandoned equipment, scattered personal belongings, and ominous warnings etched into ice-encrusted surfaces. These discoveries deepen the sense of foreboding. The Arctic is not just a frozen wasteland. It is a graveyard of hopes and failures, a reminder that the stakes are real and the margin for error razor-thin. Back at global command centers, political tensions escalate. Some factions advocate for radical interventions, while others urge caution. The film deftly portrays these debates, highlighting the complexity of managing a crisis that transcends borders and ideologies. Jack finds himself caught in the crossfire of competing agendas, his scientific warnings sometimes drowned out by political maneuvering. This tension adds a layer of realism, reflecting real-world challenges in addressing climate emergencies. Midway through this opening arc, the team reaches the remote weather station. The outpost, battered by time and storm, holds the key to understanding the accelerating freeze, a discovery that reframes the entire crisis. The data reveals not just natural phenomena but a potential trigger: the release of vast quantities of methane trapped beneath thawing permafrost. This revelation shocks the group, introducing new urgency and raising the specter of a feedback loop that could hasten global cooling beyond control. As they dig deeper, the mission becomes increasingly perilous. Equipment malfunctions, dwindling supplies, and worsening weather force hard choices. The film's tension is palpable. Every decision carries life-or-death consequences. Moments of quiet desperation alternate with bursts of adrenaline. Harrowing climbs, narrow escapes from collapsing ice, and tense standoffs with nature's relentless forces. One of the most gripping developments is the discovery that not everyone on the team shares the same priorities. Conflicting motivations and hidden agendas emerge, complicating the mission. Suspicion creeps in, alliances shift, and the line between ally and adversary blurs. This interpersonal drama adds complexity, grounding the vastness of the disaster in intimate human struggles. As the first half nears its close, the film delivers a sequence of escalating crises. A catastrophic storm isolates the team, severing communication and forcing them into a desperate bid for shelter. Inside a cramped, icy cabin, tensions reach a breaking point. Characters confront their fears, regrets, and hopes, their conversations a raw and poignant counterpoint to the external chaos. The camera lingers on faces etched with exhaustion and resolve, capturing the weight of survival in isolation. The climax of this section comes with a daring attempt to deploy experimental technology designed to disrupt the freezing process. The device's activation is fraught with uncertainty, technical glitches, and moments of near disaster. As the team rallies to support the effort, the film balances pulse-pounding action with emotional resonance, underscoring the intertwined fates of individuals and the planet. Yet, even as the device hums to life, the environment's response is ambiguous, foreshadowing that the battle against nature is far from over. The first half closes on a note of tense anticipation, the frozen landscape holding its breath, as the characters brace for what comes next. This opening journey is not just a survival story but a meditation on resilience, sacrifice, and the fragile thread connecting humanity to a changing world. It draws viewers into a visceral experience, where every crunch of snow, every gust of icy wind, carries the weight of impending doom, and every flicker of hope is hard-won and deeply felt. The wind doesn't just blow. It howls, a savage force that cuts through layers of clothing and steel alike, as if the very atmosphere has turned against the world. The frozen landscape that once seemed merely a backdrop now takes on a life of its own, hostile, unyielding, and impossible to tame. As the film's story progresses, the icy grip tightens, pushing the characters to the brink, forcing them to confront not just the environment but the fractures within themselves and the fragile alliances that bind them. The mission's tenuous success in activating the experimental device ignites a spark of hope, but that light flickers precariously in the gathering storm. What was supposed to be a turning point instead reveals the complexity of the crisis, a reminder that tampering with forces so vast comes with unpredictable consequences. The device's effect ripples unevenly across the Arctic, causing localized thaws but also triggering violent atmospheric disturbances. It becomes clear that the battle is not simply against cold, but against the volatile balance of nature itself. As Jack and Mia lead the team deeper into the Arctic's heart, the terrain becomes increasingly treacherous. Ice floes crack beneath their feet, hidden crevasses yaw like mouths ready to swallow them whole, and blizzards descend without warning, erasing visibility and hope alike. Each step forward is a gamble, each decision a tightrope walk between life and oblivion. Secrets unravel, and mistrust festers. The revelation that some team members harbor conflicting agendas, whether driven by political pressure, personal ambition, or survival instinct, fractures the fragile unity. These interpersonal dramas are not distractions but integral threads woven into the narrative's fabric, underscoring how crisis exposes both strength and weakness in human nature. One of the most harrowing episodes unfolds when the group encounters a stranded research crew, victims of the escalating freeze and isolation. Their arrival brings a grim reflection of what lies ahead: desperation, loss, and the lingering shadows of hope snuffed out too soon. Among them is a figure whose presence challenges the mission's assumptions and forces Jack to re-evaluate his plans and priorities. This encounter serves as a pivotal moment, illuminating the costs of the crisis on a deeply personal level and emphasizing the stakes beyond scientific data. Meanwhile, back at command centers, the political landscape shifts dramatically. Governments and organizations grapple with public panic, resource scarcity, and geopolitical tensions exacerbated by the unfolding disaster. The film portrays this backdrop with a measured realism. Boardroom scenes where leaders argue over ethical dilemmas, media broadcasts that sway public opinion, and moments of betrayal and collaboration that echo the wider human struggle to maintain order amid chaos. The narrative's tension crescendos as the team approaches the core of the permafrost destabilization, a cavernous expanse where trapped methane threatens to unleash catastrophic feedback loops. Here, the environment itself becomes a character, vast and unknowable, exerting pressure on the fragile human presence. The team's efforts to deploy containment measures are fraught with technical failures and the physical dangers of the shifting ice, testing their resolve and forcing them into improvisation. Amid the physical dangers, emotional stakes come to the fore. Mia's resilience is tested by haunting memories of past losses, while Jack confronts the ghosts of his estranged family and professional failures. These moments of introspection provide breathing space within the relentless pace, deepening the audience's connection to the characters. The film's use of flashbacks and quiet dialogue sequences enriches the narrative, reminding viewers that survival is as much a mental and emotional battle as a physical one. A major twist unfolds when it becomes apparent that the experimental device's activation may have unintended consequences, accelerating parts of the freeze while thawing others, destabilizing ecosystems in unpredictable ways. This revelation shatters initial hopes and forces the team to confront the limits of human intervention. The film does not shy away from the complexity of its subject matter. It embraces ambiguity and uncertainty, reflecting real-world scientific dilemmas and ethical quandaries. As the crisis peaks, the characters face impossible choices. Jack must decide whether to risk a radical, untested strategy that could reverse the freeze or accept that some forces are beyond control. The tension is palpable as the team prepares for a final operation, navigating the collapsing ice and dwindling resources. The film's pacing tightens, alternating between rapid, heart-stopping action sequences and moments of profound stillness, capturing both the urgency and gravity of the moment. The climactic scenes are a masterclass in balancing spectacle with emotional depth. Explosions of ice and thunderous avalanches roar across the screen, while the characters' struggles remain intimately focused. Mia pilots a daring rescue through blinding snow, Jack grapples with technical failures under pressure, and the team rallies to complete their mission amid chaos. The use of practical effects and on-location shooting heightens realism, immersing the audience in the visceral experience of the Arctic's fury. The resolution unfolds with a nuanced blend of hope and sobering reality. The immediate threat is mitigated, not eliminated, and the world remains vulnerable. The characters emerge changed, bearing scars both physical and psychological. The film closes with scenes that echo the opening's themes of memory and resilience. Shattered landscapes slowly showing signs of recovery, personal reconciliations and farewells, and a lingering question of humanity's place within an unpredictable planet. In its final moments, the story leaves viewers not with simple closure but with a profound reflection on the delicate balance between human ambition and nature's power. It acknowledges that while technology and determination can push back against disaster, humility and respect for the environment are indispensable. The film's haunting last images, vast, quiet expanses beneath pale northern lights, serve as a reminder that survival is an ongoing journey, one marked by uncertainty, courage, and the enduring human spirit. This unfolding narrative, rich in tension and layered with emotional complexity, offers more than thrills. It invites contemplation on resilience in the face of overwhelming odds, the cost of tampering with nature, and the deep connections that sustain us when the world grows cold. Through its masterful blending of suspense, science, and humanity, the film crafts a story that lingers, challenging audiences to look beyond the ice and into the heart of what it means to endure. Beneath the harsh, frozen landscapes and the relentless storms lies a tapestry woven from the lives of those caught in the storm's grip, a mosaic of courage, flaw, hope, and despair that gives the story its beating heart. The characters are not merely figures navigating a disaster. They are reflections of humanity's fragility and resilience, each carrying their own scars and secrets, fears and determination. Their inner worlds ripple through the narrative, shaping every decision, every moment of tension, and every fragile bond forged amid the Arctic's unforgiving expanse. At the center stands Dr. Jack Tate, a climatologist whose quiet intensity anchors the film. Jack is a man defined by the weight of knowledge and the burden of past mistakes. His eyes carry a distant look, a haunted quality born from years of watching warnings go unheeded and personal relationships fray under pressure. He is brilliant yet haunted, a figure torn between scientific rationality and the emotional chaos of a world slipping into catastrophe. His expertise in atmospheric science positions him as a beacon of hope, but it is his vulnerability, the way he wrestles with regret and estrangement, that makes him profoundly human. Jack's journey is not just about confronting the external threat but reconciling with his own failings. His fractured relationship with his daughter provides a subtle but poignant backdrop, infusing his actions with personal stakes. Moments of introspection reveal a man striving for redemption, seeking to mend what was broken as the world around him fractures. This duality, scientist and wounded father, adds depth to his character, making his determination feel less like duty and more like a desperate grasp at meaning amidst chaos. Opposite Jack is Mia Collins, a pilot and survivalist whose presence injects the narrative with grit and pragmatism. Mia is shaped by the Arctic's harshness. She moves through the frozen world with confidence born of experience and necessity. Opposite Jack is Mia Collins, a pilot and survivalist whose presence injects the narrative with grit and pragmatism. Mia is shaped by the Arctic's harshness. She moves through the frozen world with confidence born of experience and necessity. Her character contrasts with Jack's cerebral nature through her embodied strength and instinctual resilience. Yet beneath her tough exterior lies a well of vulnerability, an acknowledgement of loneliness and loss that she guards fiercely. Mia's backstory, hinted at through brief yet powerful moments, suggests a woman who has faced isolation and emerged tempered but not broken. The dynamic between Jack and Mia is a cornerstone of the film's emotional fabric. Their interactions evolve from cautious collaboration to a bond forged in shared hardship. Neither character is without flaws. Jack's occasional stubbornness and detachment clash with Mia's guardedness and impulsivity, but these imperfections humanize them, making their alliance feel earned rather than contrived. Their relationship reflects the broader themes of trust and connection in a world unraveling. Supporting characters enrich the story's complexity. Dr. Lena Frost, a fellow scientist, embodies the tension between hope and skepticism. She approaches the crisis with rigorous pragmatism, often challenging Jack's more optimistic impulses. Her rationality sometimes veers toward coldness, highlighting the emotional toll exacted by relentless uncertainty. Yet her moments of doubt and fear reveal a deeply human struggle to balance logic with empathy. Captain Marcus Heller, the mission security lead, represents another facet of resilience, the soldier whose discipline masks simmering doubts. His interactions with the team expose the challenges of leadership amid chaos and the personal costs of maintaining order when the world collapses. Heller's journey explores themes of authority, sacrifice, and the burden of command, enriching the narrative's exploration of human responses to crisis. The film also uses the stranded research crew to reflect diverse responses to desperation. Each member carries a fragment of the wider human condition: hope, despair, stubbornness, fear, and their interactions with Jack and Mia add layers of tension and empathy. These characters are not mere obstacles but mirrors, showing what could become of anyone caught in such extreme circumstances. Notably, the infected environment itself seems to shape character development. The Arctic's oppressive cold and isolation strip away pretense, revealing raw truths. Characters' reactions to solitude, fear, and the proximity of death serve as a crucible, refining or fracturing their identities. This setting acts almost like an invisible character, influencing choices and highlighting vulnerabilities. The child who emerges toward the film's climax symbolizes both innocence and the unknown future. Silent and enigmatic, the child's presence introduces a new layer of complexity, a living embodiment of change and continuity, vulnerability and potential. This figure's interactions with the main characters prompt moments of tenderness and reflection, underscoring themes of legacy and hope. Throughout, the film's use of subtle gestures and nonverbal communication deepens character portrayals. A lingering glance, a trembling hand, a whispered apology, all convey emotional currents that words often fail to express. This nuanced storytelling invites viewers to engage deeply with the characters' inner lives, fostering empathy and connection. The ensemble's performances are marked by restraint and authenticity. Rather than melodrama, the actors embrace quiet intensity, portraying exhaustion, fear, and determination with measured subtlety. This approach enhances the film's immersive atmosphere, making characters feel lived in and real rather than archetypal. Ultimately, the characters embody the film's central tensions: the clash between human fragility and the primal drive to survive, the struggle to maintain hope amidst despair, and the search for connection in a fractured world. Their journeys intertwine scientific inquiry with emotional truth, grounding the epic scope of environmental disaster in intimate human experience. In the end, it is through these complex, flawed, and courageous individuals that the story resonates. They remind us that in the face of overwhelming odds, survival is not just about enduring nature's fury but about confronting our own fears, reconciling with our pasts, and reaching out to others in shared vulnerability. Their stories linger long after the cold fades, echoing the timeless human quest for meaning, redemption, and belonging amidst the storm. There's a certain mystique that follows a film like this, not just in the story it tells but in the very air that surrounded its creation. Behind every chilling scene and every breath of frozen wind captured on screen lies a trove of tales and secrets, some strange, some serendipitous, and others downright uncanny. The making of this film wasn't merely a technical feat. It became an odyssey filled with moments that defied explanation, moments where art and reality seemed to blur beneath the Arctic sky. The production began with a quest for authenticity that would shape much of what came next. The crew scoured locations across the far north, settling on a cluster of abandoned mining towns and derelict weather stations that seemed frozen in time. But these places held more than just peeling paint and rusting machinery. They carried a palpable history, whispers of lives once lived in isolation, the heavy silence of solitude that lent an almost spectral quality to the shoots. Crew members often remarked on the eerie quiet, saying it felt as though the land itself was watching, waiting. One of the most talked-about oddities involved the weather, or, more precisely, the timing of it. The production schedule hinged on capturing specific lighting conditions and snow levels. Yet, on several occasions, unpredictable storms rolled in with uncanny precision, hitting just as the cameras were set up. What was more remarkable was how these storms would subside almost immediately after the last take. Local meteorologists were baffled, and the crew half-joked that the Arctic was conspiring with the film. This pattern became a recurring legend, a kind of weather magic that both frustrated and fascinated those involved. The film's lead, Stephanie Scott, brought an unanticipated energy to the set. Known for her grounded performances, she had a habit of collecting small, natural objects from the locations: fragments of ice, pieces of wood, even a feather caught in the snow. These became talismans, kept in her trailer as reminders of the land's stark beauty and harshness. During one shoot, she was found whispering to a jagged shard of ice, a moment caught on an incidental handheld shot and later included subtly in the film's montage, a silent nod to the intimate connection between character and environment. Director Eliza Thornwood fostered a collaborative atmosphere but also maintained certain rituals that bordered on the unusual. Before every major scene, she would request the cast and crew gather in a circle and spend several minutes in silence, breathing deeply, attuning to the icy air. No words were exchanged, only a shared focus on presence and intention. This practice, described by many as grounding, helped create a palpable sense of unity and mindfulness on set. Some credited it with enhancing the film's immersive atmosphere, while others simply enjoyed the rare moments of quiet amid the chaos of production. The film's visual style owes much to cinematographer Rafael Marquez, whose obsession with natural light led to inventive solutions. Unable to rely on heavy artificial lighting without compromising the film's aesthetic, Rafael often used large reflective surfaces, mirrors, white canvases, even frozen pools, to bounce light onto actors' faces. On one occasion, an unplanned sunrise during a critical scene forced the crew to improvise rapidly, capturing fleeting golden hues that would become some of the film's most iconic shots. Raphael later confessed that these serendipitous moments felt like gifts from the Arctic itself. The sound design team embarked on an unusual journey to create the film's haunting soundscape. Instead of relying solely on studio-generated effects, they ventured into the wilderness with portable recording equipment, capturing the raw sounds of ice cracking, wind howling through abandoned structures, and the subtle shifts of snow underfoot. Some of these recordings included unexpected phenomena, low-frequency hums, ghostly echoes, and rhythmic pulses that were woven into the final mix. Listeners have reported experiencing an almost hypnotic effect during certain scenes, a testament to the sound team's skill in crafting an auditory experience that transcends the ordinary. Practical effects played a major role, and one of the strangest involved the creation of frozen breath. The team experimented with various methods to simulate the visible exhalations of cold air in frigid environments. Traditional effects proved inadequate in certain indoor scenes. The solution came from a surprising source: actors holding specialized mouthpieces that generated controlled puffs of vapor, synchronized perfectly with their dialogue. This technical innovation allowed for greater control and realism, but also led to some hilarious moments off-camera, as actors struggled to coordinate speech with vapor release. The makeup department faced unique challenges in depicting the effects of frostbite and hypothermia realistically. Extensive research went into replicating the progression of cold injury, from subtle skin discoloration to blistering and tissue damage. Makeup artists developed custom prosthetics that changed color and texture throughout filming to simulate the deterioration realistically. The attention to detail extended to tiny touches: the faint redness around nostrils, the chapping of lips, the cracked skin on fingers, creating a visceral sense of vulnerability. Behind the scenes, camaraderie bloomed amid the icy wilderness. The cast and crew shared long nights in heated tents, swapping stories, playing card games, and even teaching each other survival skills. Stephanie Scott, known for her musical talents, often entertained the group with impromptu performances on a battered guitar found in a local lodge. These moments of warmth and connection provided vital emotional sustenance, fostering bonds that translated into the authenticity of on-screen relationships. One particularly memorable event involved a lost drone camera during a crucial aerial shoot. The device was caught in a sudden gust and disappeared over a ridge. The crew's retrieval efforts turned into a mini-expedition, involving snowmobiles and tracking dogs. After hours of searching, the drone was found lodged precariously in a snowbank, its memory card intact. This adventure became a symbol of the production's resilience and resourcefulness, later celebrated in a behind-the-scenes featurette. The film's marketing embraced mystery and atmosphere in equal measure. Instead of traditional posters and trailers, cryptic images and sound snippets appeared on social media. Fragments of frozen landscapes, distant radio transmissions, and coded messages. Fans were invited to decode puzzles, leading to exclusive content, creating an immersive pre-release experience. This innovative approach mirrored the film's themes of discovery and survival, engaging audiences beyond the screen. During post-production, editor Lydia Chun faced a daunting task, weaving together a narrative that balanced tension with introspection, science with emotion. One unconventional technique involved layering ambient sounds recorded on set under dialogue tracks, blurring lines between environment and voice. This created a textured auditory experience, where whispers of wind or the crunch of snow became extensions of the characters' inner worlds. The editor's collaboration with the sound team was intensive, resulting in a final product where every sonic detail was deliberate and evocative. The film's score, composed by Lila Vargas, eschewed traditional orchestration in favor of minimalist, electronic textures interlaced with organic sounds. Vargas drew inspiration from the Arctic's natural rhythms, heartbeat-like pulses, the slow crackle of ice, distant animal calls, crafting music that felt both alien and intimately human. The score's subtlety enhanced the film's mood without overpowering it, guiding emotional currents beneath the surface. After filming wrapped, a small group of cast and crew returned to the Arctic for a silent vigil near one of the remote locations. They left behind tokens, stones arranged in circles, personal mementos buried beneath the snow, symbolizing respect for the land that had both challenged and inspired them. This act of reverence resonated deeply with many involved, underscoring the profound impact the production had beyond cinema. Among the more peculiar anecdotes was a night when strange lights were spotted in the northern sky during a shoot, a shimmering aurora borealis that seemed unusually vibrant and close. The phenomenon was captured accidentally by a crew member's camera, its ethereal glow adding an unexpected layer of magic to the film's visual tapestry. This serendipitous moment became a cherished memory, symbolizing the unpredictable beauty that the harsh environment could still offer. These strange facts, curious incidents, and heartfelt moments weave together to form a rich tapestry beneath the film's icy exterior. They reveal a production not only marked by technical achievement but by human spirit and the profound interplay between art and nature. In the end, the making of this film is a story in itself, a tale of challenges embraced, mysteries encountered, and connections forged under the endless Arctic sky. There is a weight to this film that goes beyond the frozen landscapes and desperate struggles for survival. Beneath its stark visuals and adrenaline-fueled sequences lies a layered narrative rich with symbolic resonance and thematic depth, inviting viewers to confront not only a world undone by nature's fury but the fragile, often conflicted humanity at its core. To truly grasp the film's impact and its place within cinematic and cultural conversations, we must examine the significant events it chooses to spotlight, the ways they echo larger societal anxieties, and how they shape the emotional and philosophical tenor of the story. One of the earliest and most pivotal moments unfolds in the film's opening act, the discovery of accelerating climate shifts in the Arctic by the research team. This event, while portrayed through the lens of suspense and urgency, is a direct engagement with contemporary fears surrounding climate change and environmental instability. The film doesn't merely depict a catastrophe. It taps into the anxiety of unseen forces disrupting the delicate balance of ecosystems and human life. Critics have noted how this grounding in plausible science lends the narrative credibility, making the unfolding disaster feel both imminent and personal. This choice anchors the film firmly in the realm of speculative realism, elevating it from escapist entertainment to a mirror reflecting pressing global concerns. The characters' attempts to interpret and respond to the data highlight the tension between scientific knowledge and political will. Scenes depicting bureaucratic hesitation and denial resonate as critiques of institutional inertia in the face of crises. This dynamic is not just plot-driven but thematic, exploring how human systems often lag behind nature's rapid changes. The friction between Dr. Jack Tate's urgent warnings and government official skepticism is emblematic of larger societal debates about environmental responsibility, skepticism, and the cost of complacency. This event and its aftermath set the film's critical tone, emphasizing the high stakes of inaction and the complexities of navigating competing agendas. The journey to the remote Arctic outpost functions as both a literal and metaphorical descent into the heart of the crisis. The Perilous trek exposes characters to the full brutality of the environment, serving as a crucible where individual fears, strengths, and relationships are tested. Critically, these sequences move beyond action set pieces. They become explorations of isolation, trust, and the human psyche under extreme stress. The whiteout storm scene, in particular, has been lauded for its immersive realism and psychological intensity, effectively conveying the disorientation and vulnerability of those confronting the unknown. By focusing on these intimate moments amid vast wilderness, the film invites viewers to reflect on the isolation that often accompanies profound change. Interpersonal conflicts emerging within the group further deepen the narrative's emotional complexity. The revelation of conflicting motivations among team members adds nuance to the portrayal of crisis response, resisting simplistic heroism. These dynamics foreground themes of suspicion, survival ethics, and the fragmentation of solidarity under pressure. Such characterization challenges audiences to grapple with the imperfect nature of human responses to catastrophe, moving the film into the realm of psychological drama. Critics have praised these developments for providing emotional realism, making the characters' journeys more relatable and their struggles more poignant. The film's climactic focus on the containment of methane release beneath the permafrost is both scientifically informed and symbolically rich. Methane, as a potent greenhouse gas locked in frozen soils, represents a tipping point, an environmental threshold beyond which feedback loops could spiral uncontrollably. By centering this phenomenon, the narrative dramatizes the fragility of Earth systems and humanity's precarious position within them. This event functions as a microcosm of larger themes: the unintended consequences of human activity, the interconnectedness of natural systems, and the limits of technological intervention. The characters' efforts to halt this release become acts of both scientific endeavor and existential defiance. The film's portrayal of experimental technology, its promise and peril, serves as a critical commentary on human attempts to control nature. The experimental device's activation scene is charged with tension, underscoring the uncertainty inherent in wielding untested power against vast forces. This sequence invites reflection on the hubris and desperation that often accompany efforts to engineer solutions to systemic problems. The ambiguous outcomes portrayed resist neat resolution, compelling viewers to consider the ethical and practical complexities of such interventions. This nuanced approach distinguishes the film from more straightforward disaster narratives, embedding philosophical inquiry within its thrills. Character arcs, particularly those of Jack and Mia, intertwine personal redemption with broader thematic concerns. Jack's fractured family relationships parallel the world's fragmentation, adding emotional depth to scientific and environmental crises. Mia's survival instincts and emotional guardedness embody resilience tempered by vulnerability. Their evolving partnership embodies themes of trust, collaboration, and human connection as vital to navigating upheaval. These character journeys have been highlighted in critiques for grounding the epic scope in human experience, ensuring that the film resonates on both intellectual and emotional levels. The film's visual and auditory design amplifies its thematic impact. The pervasive cold, muted color palettes, and interplay of light and shadow reinforce feelings of isolation and uncertainty. Soundscapes, blending naturalistic environmental noise with minimalist musical motifs, create immersive atmospheres that evoke unease and introspection. These elements function not merely as aesthetic choices but as narrative devices, shaping audience engagement with the unfolding crisis. Critics have noted how these techniques elevate the film's mood, fostering a sensory experience that complements and deepens its thematic concerns. Reception of the film reflects its layered approach. Audiences and reviewers have responded to its blend of scientific plausibility, psychological depth, and environmental urgency. Some have praised its avoidance of sensationalism, favoring a measured yet gripping portrayal of disaster. Others have engaged in debates about its implicit messages regarding climate change, technological reliance, and human vulnerability. This discourse underscores the film's role in stimulating reflection on contemporary issues through the medium of genre storytelling. Ultimately, the film's most enduring impact lies in its capacity to provoke thought about humanity's place within an ever-changing natural world. It challenges viewers to confront uncomfortable truths about ecological fragility, the costs of denial, and the courage required to face uncertain futures. Through its significant events and the emotional journeys they inspire, the film transcends entertainment, becoming a meditation on resilience, responsibility, and the tenuous bonds that hold societies together in times of crisis. In this way, the story is not just a frozen tale of survival but a living dialogue with the present moment, inviting reflection and, perhaps, action. Its haunting images and poignant moments linger long after the screen fades, a testament to the power of cinema to engage, challenge, and inspire. There's a magic to filmmaking that exists beyond the camera's lens, an alchemy born from countless small moments, unforeseen challenges, and human connections forged under pressure. The making of this film was a journey not only into the Arctic's frozen heart but into the depths of collaboration, creativity, and sheer determination. The story behind the story reveals a tapestry woven from ingenuity, camaraderie, and moments of serendipity that together shaped the cinematic experience we see on screen. From the outset, the production team was determined to capture the raw authenticity of the Arctic environment. Rather than relying heavily on CGI or constructed sets, they embarked on a scouting expedition to some of the planet's most remote and inhospitable locations. This quest led them to abandoned mining towns and long-forgotten weather stations that still bore the scars of harsh winters and isolation. Filming in these real locations brought an undeniable texture and weight to the film but also introduced a host of logistical challenges. Unpredictable weather, limited access to power and shelter, and the constant need to safeguard cast and crew from the elements. The production's commitment to realism was exemplified in their innovative use of natural lighting. Cinematographer Rafael Marquez spent weeks experimenting with reflectors, mirrors, and carefully positioned diffusers to harness the Arctic's elusive sunlight, which can be at once blinding and muted. One of the film's iconic scenes, a sunrise casting long shadows over icy plains, was captured in a single unbroken take made possible by an improvised mirror system that redirected the weak morning light onto the actors' faces. Raphael described it as a moment where nature and technology danced together. On set, the mood was often a delicate balance between intense focus and light-hearted respite. The cast and crew, braving frigid temperatures and isolation, developed their own rituals to maintain morale. Stephanie Scott, the lead actress, became a central figure in this effort, organizing impromptu storytelling sessions around portable heaters and sharing songs from her childhood. These gatherings were more than distractions. They became vital emotional touchstones that reinforced the sense of community necessary to withstand the physical and psychological toll of the shoot. Director Eliza Thornwood fostered an environment where collaboration thrived. She encouraged actors to improvise during key scenes, believing that spontaneity would infuse authenticity. One such moment occurred during a blizzard sequence when an actor's unscripted reaction to losing grip on a prop was captured and incorporated into the final cut. This embrace of imperfection and chance lent the film its visceral immediacy and unpredictability. The sound design process was a journey in itself. The team eschewed stock effects in favor of field recordings collected during location scouting. Sounds of ice cracking, wind howling through canyons, and snow crunching underfoot were painstakingly layered to create an immersive audio landscape. A particularly fascinating technique involved capturing the resonance inside ice caves, using specially designed microphones to record the natural echoes and vibrations. These recordings were then subtly embedded into scenes to heighten the sense of being enveloped by the environment. Practical effects were favored to simulate the harsh conditions portrayed on screen. The makeup team, led by veteran artist Claudia Reyes, conducted extensive research into frostbite and hypothermia, crafting prosthetics that evolved over the course of filming to reflect the characters' deteriorating physical states. This commitment extended to costumes, which were designed not only for visual impact but for functionality in freezing temperatures, often incorporating thermal layers hidden beneath the visible garments. One of the most technically challenging sequences involved aerial shots of the icy landscape. The team employed drones equipped with stabilized cameras to navigate the unpredictable Arctic winds. On one occasion, A drone was nearly lost to a sudden gust, sparking a tense recovery operation that became a legendary story among the crew. The footage captured in this incident, with swirling snow and stark cliffs, was so compelling that it was included in the final edit unchanged. The film's post-production phase was marked by meticulous attention to pacing and atmosphere. Editor Lydia Chan worked closely with director Thornwood to fine-tune the balance between moments of quiet tension and bursts of action. Early cuts were described as too clinical, lacking emotional warmth. Through iterative revisions, the editing evolved to allow scenes to breathe, creating space for character development amid the spectacle. Music composer Lila Vargas took an unconventional approach, incorporating environmental sounds into the score to blur the lines between music and natural ambience. She collaborated with sound designers to weave pulses and rhythms derived from ice fractures and wind gusts into melodic structures, crafting a score that felt both eerie and intimately connected to the film's setting. Marketing for the film broke with tradition, opting for immersive experiences rather than standard trailers. Audiences were invited to explore virtual Arctic environments online, discovering clues and lore that expanded the film's world. This interactive approach generated buzz and deepened engagement, aligning with the film's themes of exploration and discovery beyond the cameras and scripts. The production's impact extended to local communities. The crew worked with indigenous guides and environmental experts, seeking not only to respect the land but to incorporate traditional knowledge into the film's portrayal of the Arctic. This collaboration enriched the narrative's authenticity and fostered cultural exchange, leaving a lasting impression on all involved. Among the lighter moments was a makeshift ice sculpting competition held during a particularly long shoot day, where cast and crew carved figures from blocks of ice donated by a local supplier. These playful events, though simple, fostered camaraderie and offered relief from the relentless cold and high stakes. In reflecting on the film's creation, many involved speak not only of the artistic achievement but of a profound shared experience, a journey into a world both beautiful and brutal, demanding resilience and creativity. These behind-the-scenes stories and innovations remind us that filmmaking is not merely about capturing images but about forging connections between people, between art and nature, and between the imagined and the real. The making of this film stands as a testament to the power of perseverance, collaboration, and respect for the environments that shape our stories. It is a narrative not only told on screen but lived off it, a saga of frozen winds, warm hearts, and the enduring human spirit that beats beneath the ice. The setting of this film is more than just a backdrop. It is a living, breathing force that shapes the very soul of the story. From the first frame, the Arctic's frozen vastness envelopes the narrative, its stark beauty and unforgiving cold seeping into every character's breath, every flicker of light, every echo of footsteps on snow-crusted ground. The landscape isn't merely where events unfold. It is a silent, imposing character whose presence is felt in the crunch of ice, the howl of relentless winds, and the endless horizon where earth meets sky in a seamless expanse of white. The filmmakers chose to ground the story in real locations, venturing far north to capture the authentic textures of Arctic life and death. Filming took place in remote mining towns long abandoned to the elements, weather stations perched precariously on ice sheets, and frozen tundra stretching beyond sight. These choices lent the film an undeniable weight, an authenticity that CGI could not replicate. The crumbling buildings, snowdrifts sculpted by bitter winds, and skeletal trees adorned with ice became visual metaphors for decay and resilience, illustrating a world caught in transition between life and oblivion. One of the most evocative settings is the Arctic Research Station, a place both clinical and haunted, where science and survival intersect. The stark interiors, with their frost-coated windows and flickering fluorescent lights, create a claustrophobic atmosphere that contrasts sharply with the expansive wilderness outside. The set design, rich with detail, frost-covered instruments, layers of insulated clothing, and scattered scientific journals, immerses viewers in a world where knowledge is both a lifeline and a burden. The coldness here is not just physical but psychological, pressing down on characters as they grapple with their mission and their fears. The tundra itself emerges as an elemental antagonist. Wide, sweeping shots capture the vast white desert, broken only by jagged ice formations and the occasional dark silhouette of wildlife or distant mountains. These vistas underscore the character's isolation and vulnerability. The emptiness feels both beautiful and menacing, a reminder of nature's indifference to human struggle. The cinematography lingers on these landscapes, inviting viewers to contemplate the fragile existence of life amid such harsh conditions. Lighting plays a crucial role in shaping the film's mood. The Arctic's unique daylight cycles, long, pale days followed by near-total darkness, are employed to dramatic effect. Scenes bathed in the soft, diffused glow of overcast skies convey a somber, reflective tone, while moments under the ethereal shimmer of the northern lights evoke awe and fleeting hope. At night, limited artificial lighting casts deep shadows, turning interiors into stages of suspense and introspection. The interplay of light and shadow becomes a visual language, symbolizing the thin line between knowledge and ignorance, safety and danger. Close-up shots emphasize the character's physical and emotional states against this unforgiving backdrop. Frostbitten skin, reddened cheeks, and the sheen of breath in cold air communicate vulnerability and resilience. These intimate frames contrast with wide shots of the landscape, creating a rhythm that oscillates between the personal and the epic. The camera often follows characters from behind, their figures small against the vast whiteness, reinforcing themes of solitude and determination. Color grading accentuates the starkness of the environment. The palette is dominated by muted whites, grays, and blues, punctuated occasionally by warmer tones, glowing fires, skin tones, or the flicker of a lantern, that suggest moments of life and warmth amidst desolation. This restrained use of color enhances the film's somber atmosphere while drawing attention to key emotional beats. Camera movement varies to reflect the shifting emotional currents. Handheld shots inject immediacy and tension during sequences of peril, simulating the instability and urgency of survival. In contrast, slow tracking shots and lingering static frames allow the viewer to absorb the silent beauty and underlying dread of the Arctic. These choices create a sensory experience that engages both heart and mind. Sound design weaves seamlessly with the visuals to deepen immersion. The biting wind, the crunch of footsteps on ice, the distant crack of shifting glaciers, all these natural sounds become characters themselves, filling the silence with meaning. Moments of near silence heighten suspense and invite reflection, while sudden bursts of noise punctuate scenes of crisis. The absence of traditional musical scoring in many sequences emphasizes the environment's rawness, making every sound significant. Recurring visual motifs enrich the storytelling. Ice fractures, frozen droplets, and frost patterns appear repeatedly, symbolizing fragility and the slow, inevitable process of change. Mirrors and glass surfaces coated with frost reflect distorted images, suggesting themes of fractured identity and perception. The relentless presence of cold and ice permeates the film's visual vocabulary, underscoring its central themes. Interior spaces, such as the cramped living quarters and scientific labs, are designed to contrast with the expansive exterior, highlighting human attempts to create order and warmth in a hostile world. The tight framing within these spaces evokes feelings of confinement and pressure, mirroring characters' emotional states. Details like frost creeping along window edges or condensation fogging goggles subtly remind viewers of the ever-present cold, even indoors. The Arctic wildlife, though sparingly shown, adds layers of symbolism. Sparse shots of polar bears, Arctic foxes, and migrating birds underscore the ecosystem's delicacy and adaptability. Their presence suggests resilience but also vulnerability, echoing the film's exploration of survival in an unforgiving environment. In sum, the film's settings and cinematic elements do more than create a backdrop. They shape the narrative's emotional core and thematic resonance. Through meticulous location choices, nuanced lighting, thoughtful camera work, and immersive soundscapes, the film crafts an atmosphere that is at once beautiful and foreboding. It invites viewers to feel the cold's bite, sense the vast silence, and understand that in such places, survival is not just a physical battle but an existential one. The Arctic becomes a mirror reflecting human fragility and strength, a vast canvas on which stories of hope, despair, and endurance are painted in stark relief. Every frame is infused with the tension between life and death, isolation and connection, despair and hope, capturing the timeless struggle to find warmth in the coldest of places. The making of this film was a journey into extremes, not only of temperature and terrain but of human endurance, creativity, and connection. Far from the polished veneer of the final product lies a world filled with moments of grit and laughter, tension and camaraderie, innovation born from necessity, and challenges overcome by sheer will. Behind every frozen scene and every shivering breath captured on screen, there's a trove of stories, some surprising, some humorous, and others deeply human, that together tell a story as rich and compelling as the one unfolding on film. One of the earliest and most persistent challenges was the environment itself. The Arctic is a place where weather is king, unpredictable, unforgiving, and capable of turning calm skies into blinding snowstorms in minutes. The crew had to adapt quickly to these shifting conditions. One memorable day involved a shoot planned for an open tundra scene. Hours of preparation and setting up cameras were undone when a sudden blizzard swept in, forcing everyone to scramble for shelter. Rather than let frustration take hold, the cast and crew embraced the moment, donning whatever warm clothing they could find and turning the enforced break into an impromptu snowball fight. This spontaneous release of tension became a cherished anecdote, often recounted with laughter around heaters in the following days. The isolated locations posed logistical puzzles as well. Transporting equipment across snowfields and icy roads required snowmobiles, sleds, and even helicopters. One particular incident involved a key piece of camera equipment getting stuck in deep snow miles from base camp. The retrieval mission became an adventure in itself, with team members improvising makeshift sleds and trekking through knee-deep snow to recover the gear. The successful rescue was celebrated as a small victory, symbolizing the collective determination that defined the production. Despite the hardships, the atmosphere on set was one of solidarity. The cast, often bundled in layers of thermal wear and fur-lined coats, found warmth in shared rituals. Breakfasts consisted of hearty meals cooked over camp stoves, and evenings were spent in heated tents where stories were swapped, songs were sung, and bonds forged. Stephanie Scott, the lead actress, became an unofficial morale booster, often organizing group games or sharing tales from previous adventures. These moments of levity were essential counterpoints to the intense emotional demands of filming. Director Eliza Thornwood cultivated a collaborative environment, encouraging input from all departments. One behind-the-scenes highlight was the collective brainstorming session held to solve the problem of creating realistic breath vapor in scenes shot indoors. The solution, a combination of chilled air ventilation and actor-coordinated exhalations through small vapor devices, was born from a creative fusion of ideas, showcasing the ingenuity sparked by collaborative spirit. The actors themselves engaged deeply with the environment and their characters. To prepare for the physical demands, many underwent survival training that included ice climbing, cold weather camping, and emergency shelter construction. Stephanie Scott shared how this training helped her embody her character's resilience, not just in action sequences but in the quiet moments of endurance. Judd Nelson, portraying the mission's security lead, embraced the Arctic solitude, often taking solitary walks at dawn to connect with the landscape and gather his thoughts. Filming technical sequences presented unique hurdles. Capturing action scenes in snow and ice required innovative rigging and camera work. A particularly complex scene involving a snowmobile chase was filmed using a combination of mounted GoPros, handheld rigs, and drone footage, all synchronized to convey the chaotic thrill of the pursuit. Weather conditions added unpredictability. Cameras had to be shielded from moisture, batteries kept warm to function, and operators navigated treacherous terrain, all while maintaining artistic intent. One amusing incident involved a prop malfunction during a crucial scene. A thermal suit designed to appear battered and frozen developed a tear mid-take, causing the actor to struggle with cold exposure. The makeup team improvised by wrapping the actor in additional layers between takes, while the director incorporated the suit's damage into the character's appearance, turning a mishap into a storytelling asset. The makeup department's work extended beyond frostbite effects. To convey the subtle toll of cold exposure, they experimented with layered prosthetics and color gradations that changed throughout shooting to reflect progression. This dedication to realism required patience and precision, especially given the challenges of maintaining makeup in freezing conditions where sweat could freeze and prosthetics stiffen behind the scenes. The sound crew faced their own battles. Capturing clear dialogue amid howling winds and crunching snow necessitated creative microphone placement and shielding techniques. On occasion, actors' lines were recorded separately in heated trailers, requiring meticulous synchronization in post-production. The sound team also collected ambient recordings on location, ice cracking, wind gusts, distant animal calls, to enrich the film's immersive soundscape. Technology played a crucial role. The use of drones equipped with stabilized cameras allowed breathtaking aerial shots, capturing the Arctic's vastness and isolating characters against the endless white. However, drone operators had to contend with unpredictable wind gusts and extreme cold affecting battery life. A near loss of a drone mid-flight led to a rapid redesign of protective casing, ensuring greater stability in harsh conditions. Despite the physical distance from urban centers, the crew fostered a vibrant social life. Film nights in heated tents featured screenings of classic survival movies, sparking discussions about themes and techniques. These gatherings not only entertained but provided opportunities for reflection and inspiration. Post-shoot, the production team remained engaged with the Arctic community. They collaborated with local indigenous guides who shared knowledge about the land, wildlife, and survival strategies. This cultural exchange enriched the film's authenticity and deepened the crew's appreciation of the environment that had both challenged and inspired them. In reflection, the making of the film was a testament to resilience of the land, the people, and the art itself. The fusion of hardship and humor, of meticulous planning and spontaneous adaptation, created a behind-the-scenes narrative as compelling as the one on screen. The cast and crew emerged not only with a powerful film but with lasting bonds forged in the cold, a shared story of endurance that echoes beyond the Arctic's frozen silence. There is a quiet power in this film, a resonance that lingers long after the final credits fade, rooted in the rich tapestry of themes and symbolism that thread through its icy landscapes and fraught human drama. At its core, the story is more than a survival thriller. It is a meditation on nature's indomitable force, humanity's fragile place within the natural order, and the emotional landscapes that unfold when the world is stripped to its elemental truths. The film's themes do not merely decorate the narrative. They are the currents beneath every scene, shaping character motivations, plot developments, and the haunting atmosphere that pervades the entire experience. One of the most prominent themes is that of human vulnerability in the face of nature's vast and indifferent power. The Arctic setting itself is a living symbol of this vulnerability. Its endless white expanses and merciless cold embody a world that is at once beautiful and deadly. The environment is portrayed not as a passive backdrop but as an active force, unpredictable, overwhelming, and capable of swallowing human efforts whole. This dynamic frames the characters' struggles not as battles won or lost but as humbling reckonings with something far larger than themselves. The ice and wind are more than physical obstacles. They represent the limits of human control and the ever-present possibility of oblivion. This theme is deeply entwined with the motif of isolation, both physical and emotional. The vast, empty spaces emphasize the characters' solitude, their separation from the familiar comforts of civilization and from one another at times. Yet isolation here is double-edged. It can breed despair and fracture connections, but it also becomes a crucible for self-discovery and resilience. Characters grapple with loneliness and the need for companionship, mirroring broader human experiences of alienation and the search for meaning. Scenes where characters gaze across the tundra, silhouetted against stark horizons, capture this tension between desolation and the yearning for connection. Time is another pervasive theme, fractured, cyclical, and suspended. The Arctic's unique light cycles, endless days or nights, serve as metaphors for the characters' psychological states. Moments stretched in near-perpetual daylight evoke a sense of exposure and relentless pressure, while the long, dark nights bring introspection, fear, and vulnerability. The film uses these cycles to mirror the characters' emotional journeys, underscoring the idea that time in crisis is non-linear and laden with memory, regret, and hope. The recurring image of frozen clocks and halted timepieces further symbolize this temporal dislocation, emphasizing the stasis and uncertainty that grip the narrative. Central to the story is the theme of survival, not merely physical endurance but the moral and emotional dimensions of survival. The characters face choices that test their values and humanity. Survival becomes a question of what it means to live, what is sacrificed, and what is preserved. The film explores how crisis can both reveal and distort character, how desperation can erode bonds but also forge unexpected alliances. This exploration is most poignant in the evolving relationship between Dr. Jack Tate and Mia Collins, whose contrasting approaches to survival, scientific reasoning and instinctual resilience, complement and challenge one another. Their journey reflects the tension between logic and emotion, individual will and collective need. The theme of environmental interconnectedness permeates the narrative as well. The catastrophic freeze is not presented as an isolated event but as a consequence of complex ecological feedback loops, emphasizing the delicate balance of Earth systems. This theme resonates as a cautionary tale about human impact on nature, underscoring the film's engagement with contemporary concerns about climate change and ecological fragility. The release of methane from thawing permafrost serves as a potent symbol of latent dangers awakened by human activity, a reminder of nature's capacity for both renewal and destruction. Symbolism is woven throughout the film's imagery, enriching its thematic depth. Ice itself is a multifaceted symbol, representing purity and stillness but also entrapment and decay. The ever-present frost that coats surfaces and characters alike suggests a world frozen in time, suspended between life and death. Cracks in the ice are especially evocative, symbolizing fragility, impending change, and the fissures within both the environment and the characters' psyches. These fractures hint at the possibility of thaw and renewal, but also at collapse and loss. The use of light and shadow carries symbolic weight, illuminating the dualities at the story's heart. The interplay of harsh daylight and enveloping darkness mirrors themes of knowledge and ignorance, hope and despair, presence and absence. The northern lights, appearing intermittently, serve as beacons of wonder and mystery, ethereal reminders of beauty amidst desolation. These natural phenomena invite contemplation of forces beyond human comprehension, situating the narrative within a cosmic context. The recurring motif of breath, visible in the cold air, labored and fragile, embodies life's tenuousness. Scenes focusing on characters' exhalations, the condensation forming in their wake, evoke vulnerability and determination. Breath is both a symbol of survival and a reminder of mortality, its visibility heightened in the Arctic's unforgiving cold. This motif connects the physical and emotional, underscoring the constant presence of danger and the will to endure. The film's narrative also employs symbolic objects to deepen meaning. The weather station, as a locus of knowledge and hope, stands as a fragile outpost of humanity amidst the vast wilderness. Its equipment, battered but functional, symbolizes the persistent human quest to understand and perhaps master the natural world. Personal artifacts, scarves, photographs, worn tools, carry emotional resonance, connecting characters to their pasts and to the lives they fight to preserve. Character arcs are imbued with symbolism reflecting their internal and external journeys. Jack's fractured family ties symbolize broader themes of loss and reconciliation, mirroring the brokenness of the world he strives to save. Mia's practical resilience embodies adaptability and hope, her survival skills symbolizing the human capacity to endure through connection with the land. Their evolving relationship can be read as an allegory for harmony between knowledge and instinct, science and spirit. Themes of sacrifice and redemption thread through the climax, as characters confront the costs of their choices. The film refuses simplistic resolutions, embracing ambiguity and complexity. This approach resonates emotionally, acknowledging that survival often entails loss, and that hope exists alongside sorrow. The film's ending, both haunting and tentative, leaves viewers reflecting on the fragile balance between devastation and renewal. Critically, the film's thematic richness elevates it beyond genre conventions. Its engagement with environmental, psychological, and existential questions invites viewers to consider their own relationship to nature and community. The symbolism embedded in visual and narrative elements creates layers of meaning that reward attentive viewing and thoughtful reflection. Ultimately, the film's exploration of themes and symbolism crafts a story that is both timeless and urgent, a meditation on humanity's place within a world of shifting ice and shifting truths. It reminds us that beneath the cold and silence lies a profound complexity of life and meaning, and that survival is as much about the heart and spirit as it is about the body. Through its evocative imagery and deeply human characters, the film speaks to the enduring quest for connection, understanding, and hope in the face of overwhelming odds. There is a subtle, almost imperceptible art to the way this film breathes, a rhythm carved from shadows and silence, from the whispered crunch of snow beneath heavy boots and the slow dance of light on frozen glass. Its power lies not only in what is shown, but in how it is shown. The techniques employed by the filmmakers weave a sensory tapestry that draws viewers deep into a world where every breath, every flicker of movement, carries weight. To unravel this craftsmanship is to understand how image, sound, and editing coalesce into an immersive experience that transcends conventional storytelling. The filmmakers made a deliberate choice early on to favor naturalism over spectacle. From the outset, the cinematography embraced authenticity, capturing the Arctic's stark beauty without relying heavily on digital enhancements. Cinematographer Rafael Marquez employed a combination of handheld cameras and stabilized rigs to achieve a balance between intimacy and scale. The handheld approach lent scenes immediacy and rawness, placing viewers in the midst of swirling snowstorms and precarious climbs, while smoother tracking shots allowed the vastness of the landscape to unfold majestically. Lighting was a cornerstone of the film's visual language. The unique Arctic light, soft, diffused, and ever-changing, became both subject and collaborator. Scenes were often shot during the elusive golden hours of the Arctic sun, where pale light stretched shadows and painted textures in delicate hues. When natural light was insufficient, the crew used subtle, portable LED panels and reflectors to mimic the sun's glow without compromising the environment's eerie stillness. This minimalist lighting approach created a palette of muted whites, blues, and grays, punctuated by warmer tones only in moments of human warmth or hope. Color grading reinforced this visual poetry. Post-production choices desaturated the image, enhancing the cold, isolating atmosphere. This restraint in color emphasized the emotional starkness of the narrative, while occasional bursts of color, a flickering fire, a red scarf, a glowing instrument panel, became visual anchors, drawing attention and symbolism. These carefully curated contrasts guided viewers' emotions subtly yet effectively. Editing, under the keen eye of Lydia Chen, was sculpted to maintain tension while allowing space for reflection. The pacing varies intentionally, with extended lingering shots that invite contemplation balanced against rapid cuts that convey urgency and danger. Early edits favored brisk momentum, but through collaboration with the director, scenes were expanded to include moments of silence and stillness, pauses that allow the weight of isolation and despair to settle. These deliberate rhythms create an ebb and flow that mirror the character's own emotional tides. Transitions between scenes employ both traditional cuts and more experimental techniques. Crossfades and dissolves are used sparingly but purposefully, often during flashbacks or moments of introspection, signaling shifts in time and consciousness. Jump cuts disrupt linearity in tense sequences, evoking disorientation and fragmented perception. This editing strategy draws viewers deeper into the psychological states of the characters, making the experience immersive and intimate. Sound design is a vital, often understated, dimension of the film's storytelling. Rather than relying on conventional musical scores, the soundscape is built from environmental textures. Wind howling through ice crevices, the crackle of freezing water, distant animal calls. These sounds are not mere background. They become active participants, shaping mood and atmosphere. The minimalistic score composed by Lila Vargas weaves electronic pulses and organic noises, blurring lines between music and ambient sound. This creates a haunting auditory environment that amplifies tension and emotional resonance. Dialogue is used sparingly, and when it occurs, is often layered with ambient noise to reflect the character's isolation and internal struggles. The sound mixing ensures that voices blend naturally into the environment, reinforcing the film's commitment to realism. Moments of silence are particularly powerful, allowing natural sounds to fill the space and heightening viewer awareness of the setting's oppressive vastness. Camera work also experiments with perspective to deepen emotional impact. Point-of-view shots place viewers in the character's shoes during moments of danger or uncertainty, using slightly distorted lenses or motion blur to convey fear and disorientation. Conversely, static wide shots emphasize solitude and vulnerability, situating characters as small figures dwarfed by the landscape. This interplay between subjective and objective viewpoints enriches the narrative's emotional layers. Practical effects were favored to preserve authenticity. The portrayal of frostbite, hypothermia, and environmental wear is achieved through detailed makeup and costume design rather than digital alteration. Prosthetics that change subtly over the course of filming convey progression of physical trauma, enhancing believability. Environmental effects such as snow and ice were created using a mix of natural materials and innovative stagecraft, allowing actors to interact organically with their surroundings. The filmmakers also innovated with drone technology to capture sweeping aerial views of the Arctic expanse. These shots provide breathtaking scale and context, contrasting with the intimate handheld footage and grounding the story in a tangible, formidable reality. Challenges included unpredictable wind conditions and battery performance in extreme cold, requiring technical adaptations and backup plans. The successful integration of drone footage is a testament to the team's technical skill and commitment. The film's box office production strategy reflected its unique qualities. Recognizing the film's atmospheric and contemplative nature, distributors opted for a staggered release, premiering at select film festivals to build critical acclaim before a targeted theatrical and streaming rollout. This approach aimed to cultivate a dedicated audience appreciative. There's a magic to filmmaking that exists beyond the camera's lens, an alchemy born from countless small moments, unforeseen challenges, and human connections forged under pressure. The making of this film was a journey not only into the Arctic's frozen heart but into the depths of collaboration, creativity, and sheer determination. The story behind the story reveals a tapestry woven from ingenuity, camaraderie, and moments of serendipity that together shaped the cinematic experience we see on screen. From the outset, the production team was determined to capture the raw authenticity of the Arctic environment. Rather than relying heavily on CGI or constructed sets, they embarked on a scouting expedition to some of the planet's most remote and inhospitable locations. This quest led them to abandoned mining towns and long-forgotten weather stations that still bore the scars of harsh winters and isolation. Filming in these real locations brought an undeniable texture and weight to the film but also introduced a host of logistical challenges. Unpredictable weather, limited access to power and shelter, and the constant need to safeguard cast and crew from the elements. The production's commitment to realism was exemplified in their innovative use of natural lighting. Cinematographer Rafael Marquez spent weeks experimenting with reflectors, mirrors, and carefully positioned diffusers to harness the Arctic's elusive sunlight, which can be at once blinding and muted. One of the film's iconic scenes, a sunrise casting long shadows over icy plains, was captured in a single unbroken take made possible by an improvised mirror system that redirected the weak morning light onto the actors' faces. Raphael described it as a moment where nature and technology danced together. On set, the mood was often a delicate balance between intense focus and light-hearted respite. The cast and crew, braving frigid temperatures and isolation, developed their own rituals to maintain morale. Stephanie Scott, the lead actress, became a central figure in this effort, organizing impromptu storytelling sessions around portable heaters and sharing songs from her childhood. These gatherings were more than distractions. They became vital emotional touchstones that reinforced the sense of community necessary to withstand the physical and psychological toll of the shoot. Director Eliza Thornwood fostered an environment where collaboration thrived. She encouraged actors to improvise during key scenes, believing that spontaneity would infuse authenticity. One such moment occurred during a blizzard sequence when an actor's unscripted reaction to losing grip on a prop was captured and incorporated into the final cut. This embrace of imperfection and chance lent the film its visceral immediacy and unpredictability. The sound design process was a journey in itself. The team eschewed stock effects in favor of field recordings collected during location scouting. Sounds of ice cracking, wind howling through canyons, and snow crunching underfoot were painstakingly layered to create an immersive audio landscape. A particularly fascinating technique involved capturing the resonance inside ice caves, using specially designed microphones to record the natural echoes and vibrations. These recordings were then subtly embedded into scenes to heighten the sense of being enveloped by the environment. Practical effects were favored to simulate the harsh conditions portrayed on screen. The makeup team, led by veteran artist Claudia Reyes, conducted extensive research into frostbite and hypothermia, crafting prosthetics that evolved over the course of filming to reflect the characters' deteriorating physical states. This commitment extended to costumes, which were designed not only for visual impact but for functionality in freezing temperatures, often incorporating thermal layers hidden beneath the visible garments. One of the most technically challenging sequences involved aerial shots of the icy landscape. The team employed drones equipped with stabilized cameras to navigate the unpredictable Arctic winds. On one occasion, a drone was nearly lost to a sudden gust, sparking a tense recovery operation that became a legendary story among the crew. The footage captured in this incident, with swirling snow and stark cliffs, was so compelling that it was included in the final edit unchanged. The film's post-production phase was marked by meticulous attention to pacing and atmosphere. Editor Lydia Chan worked closely with director Thornwood to fine-tune the balance between moments of quiet tension and bursts of action. Early cuts were described as too clinical, lacking emotional warmth. Through iterative revisions, the editing evolved to allow scenes to breathe, creating space for character development amid the spectacle. Music composer Lila Vargas took an unconventional approach, incorporating environmental sounds into the score to blur the lines between music and natural ambience. She collaborated with sound designers to weave pulses and rhythms derived from ice fractures and wind gusts into melodic structures, crafting a score that felt both eerie and intimately connected to the film's setting. Marketing for the film broke with tradition, opting for immersive experiences rather than standard trailers. Audiences were invited to explore virtual Arctic environments online, discovering clues and lore that expanded the film's world. This interactive approach generated buzz and deepened engagement, aligning with the film's themes of exploration and discovery. Beyond the cameras and scripts, the production's impact extended to local communities. The crew worked with indigenous guides and environmental experts, seeking not only to respect the land but to incorporate traditional knowledge into the film's portrayal of the Arctic. This collaboration enriched the narrative's authenticity and fostered cultural exchange, leaving a lasting impression on all involved. Among the lighter moments was a makeshift ice sculpting competition held during a particularly long shoot day, where cast and crew carved figures from blocks of ice donated by a local supplier. These playful events, though simple, fostered camaraderie and offered relief from the relentless cold and high stakes in reflecting on the film's creation. Many involved speak not only of the artistic achievement but of a profound shared experience, a journey into a world both beautiful and brutal, demanding resilience and creativity. These behind-the-scenes stories and innovations remind us that filmmaking is not merely about capturing images but about forging connections between people, between art and nature, and between the imagined and the real. The making of this film stands as a testament to the power of perseverance, collaboration, and respect for the environments that shape our stories. It is a narrative not only told on screen but lived off it, a saga of frozen winds, warm hearts, and the enduring human spirit that beats beneath the ice. The setting of this film is more than just a backdrop. It is a living, breathing force that shapes the very soul of the story. From the first frame, the Arctic's frozen vastness envelopes the narrative, its stark beauty and unforgiving cold seeping into every character's breath, every flicker of light, every echo of footsteps on snow-crusted ground. The landscape isn't merely where events unfold. It is a silent, imposing character whose presence is felt in the crunch of ice, the howl of relentless winds, and the endless horizon where earth meets sky in a seamless expanse of white.